when you're searching for your first win of the season, what's better than the trip to Man City? I mean, you could say it goes from bad to worse for Saints, really. George, if I start with you, I'm going to look at the positives again. Wolves almost picked up a point. Man City needing I think it was a 95th minute winner, wasn't it? Does that give us a bit of hope? Is there any hope travelling to Manchester City?
I think if they can replicate a lot of the stuff they did in the first hour against Arsenal, where they became quite difficult to score against, although Arsenal then went and scored 3 goals. If they can do that again, then they'll give themselves at least a chance to do something at Man City. But there's not many clubs in world football who go to Manchester City thinking they're going to get something, and it might be one where we were captaining Saka against Saints last time around. It might be triple captain time for Haaland this time around. But I think it's like you said, it's the worst team to come up against when you're itching and desperate for your first win of the season. But we've seen weirder things happen. I'm not suggesting I think they're going to win that game, but we've seen them beat Man City before when they were desperate for a win. So perhaps it'll happen again.
Well, I think did I see today they haven't lost in 31 Premier League games. We haven't won in 21 Premier League games, so the omens aren't looking good, Steve. What are your expectations? Is it same as the Arsenal game? Just try and put in a good performance. You want to see a bit of solidity. You don't want us to get a mauling.
Yeah, I think if you come out of it with minimal damage, maybe land a couple of blows ourselves as we did at Arsenal. We've obviously been banging this drum for time eternal, but if we combination of taking the chances that we did create and not gifting good players easy chances at the other end, then maybe we might have taken something from the Emirates. And you've got to look at that performance as basically the blueprint for Man City. It's going to be a very similar experience, I would imagine. City now play in a fairly similar fashion. They don't really like just putting the ball in the box, which is odd given they've got an absolute monster up front who can win stuff in the air and is perfectly good at heading crosses. But they're quite puritanical about it and still like to play the way they play. So actually, if we can stay quite narrow, very compact, don't allow them to play the little quick 1-2s and little triangles in and around our penalty area. And if they're restricted to shots at 25 yards, great. Okay, fine. They may end up flying in the top corner anyway because they are good. But yeah, you've never got no chance. But yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if the bookies are putting us any shorter than 15-1 to win that game. That's for sure.
Glen, we've conceded 4 in each of the last 4 league games against them. Is there anything to suggest that won't happen again?
I think there is actually the stuff that Steve's just talked about. I remember one game we had up there where we ended up losing with Raheem Sterling scoring in the last minute, but that was kind of the blueprint of how to play against Manchester City. Even then, before they had Haaland, is that you've got to make them cross the ball. You've got, you can't let them sort of like pass through you. So you'll end up with 2 lines of 4 or a line of 4 and a line of 5, right in front of your penalty area for the lot of the game. But you have to try and do what we did against Arsenal and try and frustrate them. I mean, I always watch these games thinking 10 minutes at a time. Can we get to 10 minutes at 0-0? Can we get to done that? Can we get to 20 minutes at 0-0? And if you can survive the opening sort of 20, 25 minutes of the game, then sometimes they do doze off if it's been relatively easy for them. And City are not watertight. I mean, they've let in a few goals this season, more than they normally do. So I'm sure there will be chances we will see Ederson on the highlights package, perhaps. Whereas I didn't expect to see David. Yeah, I didn't expect to see David Raya at all, and we saw him in the end. No, I mean City are much better than everybody. They're much better than Arsenal. They're much better than Liverpool. So it obviously is the most difficult game that we're going to have this year. But and of course they've got the centre forward who is frightening if you don't play him properly. I mean he tends to play in the sort of, whenever I see him, he seems to be in the sort of left channel. So I think it will be Harwood-Bellis. I think Harwood-Bellis will
relish that. Though, that's why he wants to be those games. Yeah.
And if Haaland's got any sense, he'll I mean, I think Harwood-Bellis will give him a tougher ride than say Bednarek will. But no, I fully expect us to go out with the same sort of formation that we had against Arsenal, which was basically 4-5-1, and Fernandes will be in midfield trying to get up and help Archer out. But be interesting to see if we. I mean, they've got Haaland, we've got Tall Paul, of course. It'll be interesting to see if we try and if we try and use him. It'd be interesting to see what his role is in that, because to have some sort of element of surprise, and they're not. The central defenders that they've got are not going to be used to playing against someone who's 6'8" and just massive. So but obviously we've got to use him in the right way, like we tried to yesterday. Get balls up to him, and I mean, I don't think he'll start, but hopefully we can stay in the game long enough so he can have some sort of impact at the end of the game. But there's no question it's going to be difficult, and it's going to be watching through your fingers whether you're in the ground or sat at home. It's just one of those that, as Steve said, you got to get through it with minimal damage with any luck. But yeah, it's ridiculous really that we're even playing them, to be honest. When you look at the when you look at the the levels of spending and the players they've got, it's just nuts really that we're in the same division as them. But here we are, and got to give it a go.
The team news is going to be an interesting one, George. I guess we'll have to wait and see what the outcome are of the injuries. We know that obviously Sugawara went off injured. Will Smallbone, be interesting to see if he's back in the squad or not. And then you've got obviously Fraser's going to be suspended, so there might be a few changes for this one.
Yeah, you got Jack Stevens coming back from suspension as well, and he played in the 21s on Friday. So perhaps if Sugawara is maybe one to miss out, you shuffle Walker Peters across back to the right, bring Stevens in on that left-hand side like we've known Russell Martin likes to do. I think it's going to be one of those where perhaps, again, that's a game where Lallana, you probably want Lallana in that one, don't you? If you want someone to give a bit of leadership, if you don't want Jack Stevens, like I think the other two boys definitely don't want him in the side, by the looks of it.
What gave it away?
I think it was the face palms. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting one. I think that it's another game where perhaps you look at Diblin, right? Is he going to be protected from that game? Do you want someone who's maybe going to, not saying that Diblin doesn't defend, but do you want someone who's perhaps a bit more experienced, but then you take away Diblin and you lose that opportunity to beat someone? And like we've already alluded to, Man City aren't as good as they've been defensively. So Russell's got a couple of choices to make, but you sort of feel like at the minute, you don't really know what his team's going to be, because last season it felt like there come a point in the season where we knew what the team was going to be. Now, you know a lot of the players that are going to be in there, but you're also not surprised if there's 4 names in the team that you maybe weren't expecting.
I think we're saying, Steve, it's a free hit, this one, isn't it? He's not going to lose his job after this.
I mean, unless it's something silly,
which we can't rule out.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not that we've not seen this story before, is it? But no, I mean, as long as we don't get completely disgraced, then no, this shouldn't be a catalyst for anything in that sense.
All right, let's do some score predictions. Just one person in the TSP Patreons Prediction League got 3 points this week. So I must do a shout out to Andrew Jordan. There are still 33 people in the league without a single point. So it turns out it's actually harder than it looks, doesn't it? All those that mocked us.
Am I one of them?
I can neither confirm or deny.
I've predicted us to win at least 4 games. So yeah, it's definitely me.
Do you want to go first with your prediction, Glenn, then?
Yeah, 4-1 Manchester City.
4-1 Man City. Steve?
I'll stick with our record of shipping 3 goals every game, so 3-1.
Okay. And George?
Yeah, 3 is a magic number for opposition teams, and it's 6 times this season if you count the Cardiff game. I was going to say 3-1 as well.